Welcome back to Charge Up Cars. Today we're diving deep into one of the most unique sports cars ever built, the Mazda RX-8. This is a car that has always stood out because it's not your typical sports coupe. It carried Mazda's legendary rotary engine, it had 4 doors with a very special rear hinge setup, and it had a design language that made it unmistakably different from anything else on the road. Let's take a closer look at the RX-8 from every angle, starting from the outside, moving into the cabin, then exploring its performance, and finally talking about its price and what it means for enthusiasts today. First, the exterior design. The RX-8 has a shape that never fails to grab attention. It's sleek, low-slung, and curvy in all the right ways. The front end is dominated by Mazda's familiar 5-point grille, which flows neatly into the aggressive bumper. The headlights are sharp and slightly angled, giving it a sense of motion even when it's standing still. The hood line is long and smooth, with subtle creases that lead the eye toward the windshield. The fenders are muscular, giving the car a planted, athletic stance. One of the things that makes the RX-8 so unique is its side profile. It has that coupe-like silhouette, but then you notice the hidden rear doors. Mazda engineered rear-hinged freestyle doors that open opposite to the fronts, making it easier to get in and out of the back seats. From the rear, the car has a very sporty vibe with dual exhaust outlets, wide taillights, and a lip spoiler that ties the design together. Whether in bright red, metallic blue, or classic black, the RX-8 always carried an aura of something special, something different from the usual sports car crowd. Moving inside, the cabin of the RX-8 is just as unique as its exterior. The driver-focused cockpit gives you the feeling that you're in control of a true sports machine. The steering wheel is small, thick, and wrapped in leather, with a perfect grip for spirited driving. The gauges are beautifully designed, with a large tachometer front and center, reminding you that this is a car meant to rev high. Mazda's designers placed the digital speedometer inside the tach, which gave it a modern feel for its time. The seats are deeply bolstered, hugging you in place during cornering, yet comfortable enough for daily driving. They came in cloth or leather, depending on trim, and many feature two-tone color schemes that added flair. Now, one of the things that set the RX-8 apart was its practicality. Thanks to those freestyle rear doors, the back seats were not just an afterthought. Unlike most sports coupes that squeeze passengers uncomfortably in the back, the RX-8 offered genuinely usable rear seating. Adults could fit back there without too much compromise, and that made it a sports car you could actually live with day to day. The interior materials were decent for its time, with soft-touch plastics on key areas and aluminum or piano black accents depending on the package. Mazda also included unique touches like the triangular design cues throughout the cabin, a tribute to the rotary engine's shape. The center console, air vents, and even the gear shifter area carried subtle triangular themes that reminded you of the Wankel heart under the hood. Speaking of performance, this is where the RX-8 becomes truly legendary. Underneath the hood sat Mazda's 1.3-liter Renesis rotary engine. Yes, that's right, just 1.3 liters, but don't let the small displacement fool you. This engine was capable of revving all the way up to 9,000 RPM in the high-output version, producing around 232 horsepower with a manual transmission. The automatic models were slightly detuned to around 212 horsepower, but the real magic was in the manual car. The sound of that rotary engine screaming toward redline was unlike anything else, smooth, high-pitched, and thrilling. Because of the lightweight construction and near 50 to 50 weight distribution, the RX-8 handled like a dream. It felt sharp, nimble, and perfectly balanced through corners. The suspension was tuned for sporty driving yet remained comfortable enough for long trips. The rear-wheel drive layout gave it that pure sports car feel, and enthusiasts loved how easy it was to control on twisty backroads or even on the track. The 6-speed manual gearbox was a joy to use, with short, precise throws, making you feel connected with every gear change. Of course, the rotary engine came with its quirks. Fuel economy was not great, usually sitting in the mid-teens in city driving and low 20s on the highway. Oil consumption was also higher than typical piston engines, which meant owners had to stay on top of maintenance. But for true enthusiasts, those quirks were part of the RX-8's charm. It wasn't meant to be the most practical sports car, it was meant to be the most unique and thrilling one in its price range. Now, let's talk pricing. When the RX-8 first hit the United States market in the early 2000s, it was priced competitively against cars like the Nissan 350Z, the Ford Mustang, and even entry-level BMW coupes. Starting prices were usually in the high $20,000 to low $30,000 range, depending on trim and options. That made it a very attractive option for someone who wanted something different, a true sports car experience without breaking the bank. Today, on the used car market, RX-8s can be found at surprisingly low prices, often ranging anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 depending on condition, mileage, and maintenance history. That makes it a tempting choice for enthusiasts, but you have to know what you're getting into. A well-maintained RX-8 is an absolute joy, but one that's been neglected can quickly become a headache because rotary engines require proper care. In terms of value, the RX-8 represents a rare piece of automotive history. It was the last production car to feature Mazda's rotary engine, carrying on a legacy that began with the RX-7. It's also a car that blended sports car thrills with everyday usability in a way few others managed to. Even today, more than a decade after it was discontinued,